Hi, I'm Carrie and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing Wahala by Nikki May. This book was released in New Zealand on the 20th of January 2022, so I'm feeling pretty up with the times, just trying to lead a trendy lifestyle. But from what I'm seeing online, this is a very highly anticipated book for 2022. And just quietly, I think it's already being made into a TV show. So I am very excited to have read it and to be sharing my thoughts on it with you. Because I have a handful of thoughts. Mostly good, mostly good. Let's put it down. Oh. So I'm going to hit you with a little bit of background, as I do, and then I will talk about each of the characters just very briefly because they're all quite spicy. Then I'll go off on a little bit of a spiel about the themes and the things that interested me and why I think you should read it. So I'm going to keep this spoiler free. I'm not going to give away any key details from the plot. So that being said, instead of getting too in depth with my description of the background, I'm actually going to read you the blurb because it sums it up bloody well. Ronka, Simi and Boo are inseparable mixed-race friends and they are living in London. They have the gift of two cultures, Nigerian and English, though they don't all choose to see it that way. Everyday racism has never held them back, but now in their 30s they question their future. Ronka wants a husband, he must be Nigerian. Boo endures stay-at-home motherhood, while Simi, full of fashion career dreams, rolls her eyes as her boss refers to her urban vibe yet again. When Isabel, a lethally glamorous friend from their past, arrives in town, she is determined to fix their futures for them. Cracks in their friendship begin to appear, and it is soon obvious that Isabel is not sorting but wrecking. When she is driven to a terrible act, the women are forced to reckon with a crime in their past that may have just repeated itself. So, the main characters. I'll start with Ronka. Ronka is a very accomplished woman. She's a dentist, she's also an amazing cook, and in my opinion, she is the nicest of the bunch. I'd take her home to my mother for sure. Her main plight is basically that she is looking for love, and she thinks she might have found it, but her friends openly doubt her relationship. And this is due to Ronka's history with picking the wrong men. It's a little harsh, to be honest. Like, back a girl up, come on. Ronka lost her dad when she was really young, and she has an idealistic kind of view of her dad, which I think she is trying to replicate in a man. Moving on to Simi. So Simi is quite fashionable and has a job in marketing. However, Simi is growing quite frustrated with her job. For example, Simi's boss says that Simi would be perfect for a particular campaign because the brand is crying out for an urban vibe. Simi has an ongoing difficult and frustrating kind of relationship with her parents, and this is due to things that have happened in the past and her parents having certain expectations of her. They often ask her for money, which is interesting. Simi is in a long distance relationship with her very supportive and loving partner Martin, but they are sort of at different stages in their lives. And then we have Boo. And for me, Boo is probably the most troubled of the three characters, and she seems to be able to put a negative spin on just about everything that happens to her, and every thought that she has. And she seems to be quite resentful of her domestic, stay-at-home wife, motherhood kind of situation that she's in. She did have what sounded like quite an academic career in a field of scientific research, and I think she's wanting to get back into her working life. Overall, she seems very frustrated with her day-to-day life and is basically looking for a change. Then we have the introduction of the glamorous Isabel, the pot stirrer. Isabel grew up with Simi in Nigeria and they had this kind of glorified upbringing together, and she has suddenly reappeared. I would say that Isabel has quite an influence over Boo in particular, and she kind of seems to inspire Boo to want to reinvent herself in a way. And anyway, as things go along, it becomes very clear that Isabel is Wahala, which fittingly in Nigerian means trouble. One other thing to mention about these characters is that they all seem to have their own kind of variation of daddy issues. Ronka's father is described in the novel as perfect but dead. Simi's is alive but disappointed. And Boo's is non-existent and good for nothing. And we definitely see how these different fatherhood situations have influenced them and their way of seeing the world. So moving on to my general kind of thoughts about the novel and the ideas that interested me, there's a lot and I'm not sure where to start. I think what it really comes down to is that it's all about friendship. And I noticed, particularly in the first half of the book, just how strong the bond is between Simi, Boo and Ronka. Anytime the three of them are together, the tone of the book kind of just changes in a positive way. And at any time in the book that one of them suggests that the three of them catch up, they're just like, yes, immediately. full capitalization. It's like whatever else is going on in their lives, they know that if the three of them catch up, they're going to have a great time and feel supported and just feel relief. So then old mate Isabel comes along, and suddenly it's all manipulation, backstabbing, revenge, resentment towards your own best friend, and just general toxicity. To be honest, I was pretty surprised at how the characters were in the way that they openly thought really nasty things about each other. You see right into those women's heads and you hear their most private thoughts. Honestly, I felt at times it was quite dramatized and people aren't actually that resentful deep down, especially towards their best friends. However, it just goes to show how carefully and craftily manipulated these women were by Isabel. And I think it's supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. And you know, at the end of the day, it came down to the fact that no matter how solid your friend circle is, if a snake gets in, no. Sometimes all it takes is one toxic and manipulative person to come along and seep through your circle and turn everyone against each other. Amen. But I think it was really cleverly done. The drama made you feel really squirmy, but it kept me hooked. And here I am, having finished the book 2 days after buying it. There were also many little sprinklings of feminism throughout, which I thought was nice. For example, as mentioned, Ronka is a dentist, and she has a patient that comes into her practice one day, and he greets her male assistant, assuming that he is the dentist. Ridiculous. There's also lots of ideas around race. The three main women refer to themselves as being half-caste, and they each view this quite differently. There's also negative typecasting of Nigerian men based on experiences that the women have had in the past, which was interesting. And there's also a good classic example of how police make assumptions based on race when they arrive at a crime scene, and it's just based on what those people look like. All in all, there was a lot to this book. It was lighthearted and funny on the one hand, but then there was all this drama, and then it was just straight a thriller. It kept me on the hook for sure. My only slightly negative thought was that I sort of picked the ending, but not until right before it happened, so it wasn't the end of the world. And you know, it made me feel clever, so it's a good thing, because it doesn't happen often. But yeah, it was super well written. We really got to see into the nitty-gritty details of the lives of these three women, and it was very raw and very real and quite crafty how their manipulation was put across, because it wasn't immediately obvious at all that that's what was happening. But yeah, long story short, I'm looking forward to the TV show. Hopefully that comes out soon and is available in New Zealand. I'd recommend it. I would recommend it. Let me know what you thought, if you've read it, or if you are looking forward to reading it. Anyway, stay classy. I will see you next time. Bye! Be honest with your friends.